Hey everybody, here's two parts computers I recently got. We call this another good deal on parts video. Both of these machines were basically dual core systems. On the left here we have a Gateway GT5018E personal computer, and originally it had an Intel Pentium D processor 820, still has its CPU. It has a double layer DVD burner. Has a card reader. It did have a gig of memory. It wasn't included in the part system though. Did have the original TV tuner, which was the ATI Theater Pro 550. Didn't include the hard drive. So we came with everything minus the memory and the hard drive. Here we have an HP Pavilion A1632X. This machine here originally had an AMD Athlon 64X2 dual-core processor, 3800 plus CPU. It has integrated NVIDIA GeForce 6150 LE graphics. It did have a gig of memory and a 300 gig hard drive. Those weren't included. Still has its optical drive and is a LightScribe drive. And look at that. That's not bad at all. And of course it has a card reader too. It has audio ports on the front, FireWire, USB 2.0. Of course here's our power button. And this machine was deemed Vista capable. This one doesn't have the sticker, which I believe this machine here is a little bit older. And on this computer, the price was $19.99. My mom actually bought this one just for the CPU itself, which went into the Black Max the other day. Let's go have a look at that right quick. Here's the Mid-Tower Lux Black Max, which runs Windows 7 Professional 32-bit. And it has 2 gigs of memory, DDR400. It has a 2400 Pro graphics card, Radeon HD, 500 gigabyte Seagate hard drive, and of course the 3800 plus CPU, socket 939. And I have to say, this CPU overclocks fairly well. It normally runs at 2 gig. I got it overclocked to 2.5 gigs, and it only took a little bit of a voltage mod to get there. And I set the hyper transport bus down to 4 times, so the hyper transport is still at 2000 DDR, and our memory is at 200 megahertz. The CPU is now at 2.5 gig, and it really woke the system up. It did have a single core Athlon 64, it was a 3400 plus, 2.2 gig overclocked to 2.67. But with this new chip I got in here now, it really made it come to life. Both these computers come with Windows XP Media Center Edition 2005, and they both still have their product keys on them. Let's now have a look inside this machine here right quick. And this machine came with a crappy power supply. Not the original Baztec, but the person who had this machine replaced it with a really junky, cheap 450 watt unit, Chief Max, which I have a separate video talking about that. Anyways, I threw in a single core 3200 plus CPU since I took out the dual core and put it in the Black Max. And surprisingly enough, this board works. The main board works fine. So I'll definitely be throwing in a power supply, a hard drive, and some memory, and this machine will be quite nice. Load up with up to 4 gigs of memory and run Windows 7 Professional or Ultimate 64-bit. Be a heck of a nice media center. And let's have a look at the ports here. Even the audio on this board is really good as well. It's actually got a better audio controller than the board that's in the home theater machine. Look at the audio jacks here. I mean, this is nice. Really nice board that's in this thing. Definitely a good media center setup waiting to happen. Okay, here's the Gateway machine. I paid $30 for it. And like I say, it has a Pentium D CPU in it. And of course, here are the ports on it. It has two USB 2s, two firewires, a mic, and a headphone jack on the front. Let's go and have a look at the back. I'll open this one up here in a minute too. Yeah, and put the HP in the floor since we're finished looking at it. These are definitely good deals on some potential machines. This one also has good audio. It has a digital out and is optical. This one probably has, I would say, 7.1 channel audio. And this one works perfectly fine. Bought it, brought it home, put some memory in it, and it fired right up. I took the TV tuner out and put it into the home theater machine, since it was newer than the one that was in it. Now we're looking inside the parts home theater PC, and the TV tuner I was talking about is installed right here. It has a rather small looking tuner on it. It's not digital, unfortunately, but it does have FM radio built into it as well. I mean, compare that to something, say, like this. How big the tuner is on that card. It's a big difference, isn't it? Now we're looking inside the gateway machine, and I haven't even cleaned this thing out yet. I just got it quite filthy, and look at all the dust bunnies in here. It's pretty dirty. And here's the fan and nose that's not spinning very well. And guess what kind of fan it is? An ABC hydraulic bearing fan. It's really bad messed up. I'll have a separate video for fixing it though. I'm assuming it has probably a 350 watt power supply. Notice here we even have this connection. It's probably a 300 to 350 watt power supply. Let's go and take it out and have a look at it. This computer comes with a pretty good power supply. It's a Delta 300 watt unit, model DPS-300PB-3A. And it has 18 amps on two separate 12 volt rails, 18 amps apiece. 3.3 volt rail is 17 amps, plus 5 is 22 amps. Minus 12 is 0.3, and 5 volt standby is 2 amps. So it definitely has a modern design, since it doesn't have the minus 5 volt rail. And like I said, this unit has a PCI Express connector on it too, so you can upgrade this machine and have a decent graphics card installed and be able to supply power to it pretty well. This computer, I'll probably be selling this setup to a friend of mine who is needing a better machine. It'll be replacing that Dell Dimension 3100 because the main board only has Intel 915 graphics, which doesn't support Aero in Windows 7, and this one probably has a better chipset installed. Well, at least this motherboard has a PCI Express slot, unlike the Dell, which didn't. So that way you can install a better graphics card. And this one has better audio and a much better CPU than what's in that Dell. So I'll probably be selling what's left of this parts machine to my friend for the same price I bought it for, since I've done a lot of work for him recently. Anyways, that's the two machines I have got recently for parts for good deals. Both of them were dual core machines. Any questions or comments? Let me know.